So this video is going to cover buttons. So different buttons that you can put on the diagram window to make the user experience better in terms of how they can control what's going on. So we have talked previously about adding a calculate button to the diagram window, and that allows users to initiate calculations from the diagram window. And you do that by selecting this add calculate button right here on the toolbar. And if you have the commercial or the student version of Ease, you'll just get a calculate button. This dialog won't appear. If you have a professional version of Ease, you'll get this dialog here where you can choose different types of buttons. The animation control bar here, that we'll get to in a later video. That's what controls animations that you can put on the diagram window. Cancel is self-explanatory. It cancels calculations. Update diagram is kind of interesting. Update diagram actually forces the equations in the equations window to be reprocessed, not solved, but recompiled. And then based on that recompilation, the diagram window will be redisplayed to show the current information. So let's show it what I mean here. So I'll put an update button on here, and then I'll put some kind of control on the diagram window. So for example, maybe I'll put a string list. So let's first put a rectangle, and then maybe also a circle. And let's name the rectangle, and maybe fill it with some color. And then we'll name the circle. And maybe fill it as well, just to make it easier to look at. And then what we'll do is we'll put a control on the diagram window, a string list. So here's an input variable, new string variable, maybe control. And we'll use a string list right here, and we will have one be a rectangle, and then we'll map this to a rectangle dot show and circle dot hide, and then the other one will be circle, and we'll map that to circle dot show and rectangle dot hide. Okay, so hit OK and OK, and maybe move this down here. Probably we don't want to see the variable name. So there we go. We have now a drop-down menu. I don't want to do that. A drop-down menu that lets us pick between which of these shapes we want to see. And if I put it in development mode and I go from rectangle to circle and circle back to rectangle, you'll see nothing happens. And the reason is because those equations weren't recompiled, right? And I can get around this in two ways. One way we've talked about previously, if I go into the edit list here, you'll see that an option is to execute the Ease commands when the selected item is changed. So if I do that, that will recompile and execute the equations. But the other way to do it is with this update button. So if I hit this update button, it will recompile all the equations, right? So let's go back to here, and we'll go to circle and update. Of course, you see that the circle shows up. We'll go to rectangle and update, and now the rectangle shows up. And if you have a very large diagram window with many controls, all of which are doing various things, controlling various things, you might want to have one update button like this that controls the whole thing so that it resets based on users' options. Okay, so let's start a new one here, and let's go back, and now let's look at diagram window. The calculate button itself actually can be customized based on your application. So here's the calculate button. Let's actually pick a calculate button here. We'll put it right here. And if you double click on that, you can see that we get the calculate button characteristics dialog. So there's a few things to notice here. initially there's a sort of default location and a default size for the thing, also a default caption. If I want to change the caption, I can do this. Maybe I want to say simulate instead of calculate, and hit OK, and now it's simulate. What else can I do here? I can, if I double click on this, I can get rid of the icon altogether. So here, I can make it a plain button with no icon right there. If I have the professional version of ease, I can actually replace it with a picture, right? So maybe I have a JPEG that has a picture of the thing I want to simulate. So I've built a JPEG of a picture of a solar panel, and I'll just load that here. So I'll hit button with picture, and it immediately asks me to pick which picture. So there should be a JPEG here called button. I did this in Canvas previously, so it's all ready to go. And maybe I want to make this a little bit smaller, like 500 and 300, something like that, and hit OK. And now this is my button. It's actually a picture of the panels I want to simulate. So you can really customize these. All right, let's start yet again, another one of these, and take a little bit closer look at that calculate button. So here I am. Let's put a calculate button onto the diagram window, and we'll double click it. And you can see that not only can you change its appearance up here, you can also change the action that's initiated by the calculate button. If I had more than one tab, you could actually change the tab that is executed by the calculate button. So here you can see solve table, min max, and so on. So maybe what we should do is do an example that has a min max sort of capability. So what I'm going to do is enter here a quadratic, so y equals a plus b times x plus c times x squared. And maybe what I would like the user to be able to do is find the value of x that maximizes or minimizes y given a set of these coefficients. So right here on the diagram window, I'm going to have an input variable for a. So we'll move that down here. Another one for B. So there we go. And then finally another one for C. And then we'll have output variables that show the value of X and the associated value of Y. Okay, so this should work now. I need to change the action that is prompted by the calculate button to min-max now. So min-max, and then we'll also uncheck the skip confirmations box, which I'll come back to here in a second. So we'll hit OK. All right, so let's put the diagram window into application mode. Let's make sure there is a min, so we'll make that a -1. And yeah, we'll hit calculate, and what happens now is the find minimum or maximum dialog comes up, right? And that's because I unchecked skip confirmation. So it's actually going to go through all the confirmations that it normally would when you hit a calculate button or any of these other actions. So here, I want to maybe maximize the value of y by changing x, and we will let x go between, I don't know, let's say -10 and 10, like that. And we hit OK, and continue, and it turns out that it looks like it hit the bound. It hit the bound because I got to make this one of these coefficients negative. So we'll do this again and hit OK. Yeah, and now I found an actual maximum value of y at x equals 0.5. So that's one of many actions that you can initiate with the calculate button, right? If I put it back in applications mode, and we go back to here, the other option down here is skip confirmation. So there's a lot of times you don't want your user to have to click OK or to set up the min-max dialog or anything like that. So if I hit skip calculations and I select OK, and we'll put it back in application mode and calculate, you'll notice it just does the calculations now, right? Let's change this just to make it clear. Maybe this is -2. It just carried out the calculations, never asking me to interact with a dialog, which is often kind of what you want in one of these GUIs. Another type of button that you can put on here is a reset button, at least for the professional version. So if I go back to the Add Calculate button, let's put this right here, and then double click it, and maybe I want to make this a reset button. So what the reset button does is it basically resets the entire problem. So it acts as if you just opened this problem. You can see that if I go back into application mode and I hit reset, these calculated values of x and y should go to 1, basically saying they haven't been calculated yet and they're grayed out. So that's what the reset button does. What are some other buttons we might be interested in? If you go down the line here, you can see this is the print button. So let's add a print button. We'll put it right here. And what the print button does is, if you're in application mode, is it will print this diagram window, or if you're in a child diagram window, it'll print the child diagram window, and it'll print it to the default printer. So here, let's go to application mode, and I'll hit print, and I think what you'll see is that it's going to print it to PDF because that's my default printer. So let's just call this diagram, save. I want to replace it, and I'll get this picture, this PDF picture of the diagram. There's one other button that's probably pretty important, and that's the help button. So if you have a GUI and it runs, one of the things you're going to want to do for sure is put some nice help for the user so that they know sort of what does what. So the way you do that is with this add help button right here. So here's my add help button. One of the things that the add help button is going to want you to do is enter here the help file name. So what is opened up when the user selects the add help button. And you can do pretty much anything here. You can do a CHM file, so like a compiled help file, or a PDF, or a web page like an HTML, or even a text page. Here, let's just browse to the PDF I just made. So this is just a picture of the diagram window, but you can see it could be pretty much anything. And hit OK. And we'll move this down here underneath the print. And now when I'm in application mode, if I click the help button, what should happen is it goes and opens up that PDF for me to look at and scroll through as I need help. And you can get rid of it to go back to your diagram window. So those are some buttons that really help you customize the execution of your diagram window.